This brings us to today, our March 4th Against Fascism rally. This rally is especially timely as the President is set to address Congress this evening. First, I would like to thank the individuals that have been instrumental in organizing today's event. We have speakers Jenna Jacobson, Todd Larson, Rick Waski, Lou Dalton, Joshua Mittness, Franz Mussared Varga, Stefani Butts, and Maxwell Brooks. Yeah. We have group admins and moderators, Brandy Raven and Erica Petrie. Setup volunteers, Suzanne Cook, Jackie Gretzinger, Sandra Castellanos, and Cesar Quitzel. Musical and call planners, Nadine Patchen and Cindy Blanc. Special thanks to the Monroe Police Department for coming out to secure us on this beautiful day. Louder, louder. And of course, thank you to all of you. So with that, I will kick off our extraordinary list of speakers. My fellow citizens, my name is Arianna Voegeli, and I stand before you today as a proud mother and wife, a dedicated public servant, and someone who knows firsthand the value of freedom, equality, and opportunity. Allow me to share a little bit about my past. At 19, I became a single mother to a biracial daughter. Living in a small rural town, my mother, right there, meaning no ill will, told me that she feared I would face a hard life under the circumstances. And she was right. It was hard. And actually, there were times when it was downright hopeless. Times that I didn't know how I was going to put food on the table. Times when I had to scrape together enough change to put a gallon of gas in my car so that I could get to work. I used WIC certificates to buy formula, milk, and vegetables. I received food stamps for a period of time when things were at their absolute worst. My mom provided daycare for me, an expense that chokes many families now and would have completely destroyed me as a single mother. As I began to find my footing, I took advantage of Pell Grants, which allowed me to attend Madison Area Technical College to earn my associate's degree. I worked hard, full-time during the day, a mom in the evenings, and I did my schoolwork at night. It was so hard, I was so tired, and at times I felt like giving up. But every step of the way, I kept my daughter at the forefront of my mind. She was the reason that I continued to persevere. I wanted to provide a life for her that was statistically and stereotypically a rarity. I wanted the American dream that I grew up striving to achieve. When she was about 5, our half-a-decade duo became a trio as my husband entered our lives. He became yet another pillar in our support system and my biggest cheerleader as I completed college and started to pave a path for something even greater, public service. Starting as an administrative secretary with the city of Monroe, I assisted the then city clerk with election administration and absentee voting and worked as a poll worker for the first time in the 2016 presidential election. Though I had been voting since I turned 18, the hands-on work with the elections ignited a passion within me that I did not know existed. I moved to the role of city clerk, then later the deputy county clerk, and finally, I was appointed interim county clerk in July of 2020, winning my first uncontested election for county clerk in the 2020 general election. But all of this is to say that these experiences, both personally and professionally, have shaped my understanding of what is at stake in this country. They have given me clarity about what I must fight for. I have seen and been a part of how systems work, how policies impact real people, and how power, when misused, can destroy everything that we hold dear. And now, in these past years, we have witnessed something deeply troubling. In the shadow of an administration that has sowed division, hatred, and distrust, We now see the rise of a new kind of power, one that is brazen, dangerous, and manipulative. A power that seeks to turn this country towards fascism. A power that doesn't care about the consequences of its actions on ordinary families, people of color, or anyone else who is simply just different from them. When we look at the actions of the Trump administration, we see a leader who prioritized his ego over the needs of our country. From trying to undermine our election systems to spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories, to abandoning all of our democratic allies while siding with dictators and embracing violence, this administration has revealed a dangerous pattern, the willingness to attack the very foundations of our democracy. The manipulation of truth has become the norm, and the rights of the marginalized communities are jeopardized. And now we see figures like Elon Musk, despite his accomplishments, using his immense wealth and influence to further stoke division, undermine essential rights, and control information. But here's the truth. Fascism is not just a term that we throw around. It is not a buzzword or a catchphrase. It is the deliberate erosion of our freedoms. It is the suppression of dissent and differing opinions. It is the targeting of communities based on race, religion, and identity. It is the silencing of those who speak up, who speak against. It is the creation of a society where power is concentrated in the hands of a few, and the people, especially those who are already vulnerable, are left to suffer. This is why I speak today. This is why I will continue to fight for a future that is inclusive, one where rights are protected, voices are heard, and we can live without fear because of who we are or where we may have come from. We all deserve a future where fascism is not allowed to take root. We cannot stand by and let this happen. We as a nation must reject this path of division and hate. We must stand together as we have always done to protect what is most sacred, our right to live free, to express ourselves, and to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of our race, gender, or background. As a public servant, I have worked hard to uphold the law, to ensure fairness and transparency in government, and to allow all voices to be heard, even those that I disagree with. But more than that, I believe in justice. I believe in a government that works for everyone, not just the powerful or the wealthy. It is why I stand here with you all today, not just as a representative of my office, but as a mother, a wife, a friend, a colleague, an ally, a human being, demanding that we rise above the hate and the fear that threaten to tear us apart. Fascism is not inevitable. It is a choice, and we together can make the choice to reject it, to build something better, to build something stronger. We must invest in our communities. We must support leaders who stand for justice, not control. We must stand up for our children, our neighbors, and those who can't stand up for themselves, for the rights of all who are vulnerable. The work ahead of us will be grueling, but it is necessary. It requires us all to speak out, to act, and to stay united in the face of division. It means choosing compassion over cruelty, truth over lies, and democracy over authoritarianism. As the great Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So let's do it for our children. Let's do it for our country. And let's do it for the future that we all deserve. We are educators and students. We are doctors and nurses. We are public servants. We are LGBTQ warriors and allies. We are scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians. We are women. We are Latinos and people of color. We are federal workers. We are active military and veterans. We are social workers, police officers, and firefighters. We are clerks at our local grocery stores. We are librarians. We are lawyers. We are truck drivers, bus drivers, and farmers. We are bankers and insurance agents and laborers. But most importantly, we are strong, and together we will fight. Thank you.
I knew that was going to happen. We got it cranked right now. We got it cranked right now, so feedback is easy. I better sit back here for a minute. Right. So this microphone is like a laser beam. You aim your voice for this right above this little circle here. That'll work. But if you get into your face, it'll reflect the sound of the speakers off of your face and we'll get feedback. So about right here should be good. And I think it's working best for good work. So like I said, right in front of you. Just gotta be directly into it.
Hi, everyone. I am Jenna Jacobson, and I am your state representative. I'm so grateful to be here today, and a big thank you to everybody who helped organize this event, and then the event that is happening at 5 as well. You know, I once gave a speech on the assembly floor that I titled The Hope Problem. Not because there was a problem with hope, but because in that moment, I felt that there was a gap between the trust that the people of Wisconsin were feeling and the majority party. And honestly, in times like these, it feels like there's still a hope problem. The news itself can feel defeating when an unelected billionaire is running roughshod over our government, when billionaires use their money and influence to use our news media and try to influence our elections, when people are losing their jobs and people have anxiety over the fact that they might lose access to food, housing, or healthcare. It shakes the foundations of the trust that we have. And that is why I'm putting my trust in you all, the people of Wisconsin. No tweet is going to give somebody the crown that they seek. No billionaire's money is going to overpower the people of Wisconsin. The whole idea behind America is that every person has an equal say in their government and that every person should have equal opportunity to thrive. And even when America has fallen short of those ideals, we keep fighting for progress because we believe in the hope of it all. Wisconsin has the unique opportunity in just a few short weeks to resist the Trump-Musk agenda and Project 2025. In 4 weeks, you will have the opportunity on your ballot to elect local leaders at the town, city, village, and school board races, and elect Susan Crawford for State Supreme Court, and Jill Underly for State Superintendent of Public Instruction. And it is so important that we get these folks elected on April 1st, because keeping our fair maps is on the line, protecting our reproductive freedoms are on the line, and protecting our children's constitutional right to a public education is on the line. Standing up to billionaires isn't something that we're taught in school, but standing up to bullies is. And I happen to think that those two things are pretty similar. When bullies think that no one is going to stand up to them, they keep pushing. And when billionaires think that they've bought our court system, they think they don't have to follow the rules. When billionaires think that they have bought our news media, they can create taglines like "democracy dies in darkness," all while hiding the truth. And when billionaires think that they have bought our elected officials, they think that nobody will stand up to them. It's easy for bullies and billionaires to forget that the power that they are desperately seeking lies within each one of you. Using your power might feel new to you. Your voice might shake a little bit when you speak up. That also might mean that you're having uncomfortable conversations with people that you love. And it may also mean that you're stepping out of your comfort zone in order to fight for the things that you care about. But that power gives me hope. And on April 1st, we can use our power and our vote to say, not in my state. Each one of you here today is the hope that I am trusting. Each one of you here today is the hope that will ripple across Wisconsin. A promise that we can't change everything overnight, but we can fight for our neighbors. We can fight for our children, and we can fight for the hope of it all. Join me.
Normally I could have this speakers up so I could something. All right, so
Are we singing again? Spotify playlist, Love is the Answer.
ah, cool. That gives me a chance to explain everything. So this microphone is a super cardioid microphone, which means it's like a laser beam pointing out of here.
Love is the Answer. Do you know how to do that?
We should probably scoot this back a little bit, actually. That will help with the feedback, and then we can get a little louder. If you're comfortable, I would move it back here, and then you can either have this like directly in front of your face or hold it, whichever you prefer.
Let's put it right here. It's always in front of us.
Okay, well, then you will want to hold it louder.
Okay.
And just make sure not to point it anywhere near the speakers, and we'll get that feedback because we got it cranked right now.
Okay. We good?
Yep, should be.
Okay.
I hope.
All right, intrepid Wisconsin. A little bit of rain never bothered you, right? Can you hear me? Thanks to Arianna Voegeli for organizing this important event. Thanks to other of our illustrious leaders. Jenna was just here, and my equally good friend, Senator Tammy Baldwin. Edmund Burke, an Anglo-Irish philosopher and statesman, prophetically stated back in the 1700s, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. The words of Burke are more relevant today than ever before. Make no mistake about it, my friends. It's no longer a question of our federal democracy being under threat. Our federal democracy is over the edge and in free fall, and we need to act now. So what do we do, and how do we do it? In my career, I have faced some daunting foes, such as the person behind that driving wheel, and I've been privileged to partner with some amazing historical figures. Thanks for allowing me to share with you 8 of the lessons of effective advocacy that I've learned along the way. Stay as physically healthy as possible. You'll be of less help if you burn out or get sick. Exercise regularly. Here in Greene County, no reason not to, given our world-class YMCA. Thanks again for your support. Mark Bocan, and no, he's not here. Allow yourself some breaks. How you disconnect and chillax is, of course, a personal choice. I would suggest you check out a number of Netflix biopics on the life of Roy Cohn. Sidebar footnote. Did you know that there is a direct line between our current president and the most deplorable of Wisconsin historical figures, Joe McCarthy? That line is through Roy Cohn, McCarthy's confidant, and years later, he who used blackmail to get discrimination charges against the Trump family dropped. Roy Cohn's evil guiding principles were attack, 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 deny, 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 claim victory no matter the outcome. Does that sound familiar? Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. George Santayana, The Life of Reason, 1905. More often than not, it's most effective to live by our guiding principle as Midwesterners, that is, be kind. Well, you don't need to be overly kind to your certifiably crazy great uncle, but at least be polite. And to others, be affirmatively kind, especially those marginalized folks in your life whom you know to be under particular stress these days. In a quiet moment, say to your transgender niece, I may not fully understand who you are, but I look forward to learning from you. I want you to know that I've always defended your autonomy and dignity and do so until my final breath. Let an undocumented immigrant neighbor know that you have their back. that you appreciate and respect their indispensable contribution to our economy. Try a bit of humor, which is, after all, the international cross-cultural language. I cannot tell you how many warm smiles and sincere camaraderie I have generated with my immigrant friends at the YMCA by greeting them with buenos dias and then launching, in broken Spanish, into a tirade of street vulgarities against Trump. How about influencing policy at the federal level? Given the rank cowardice of our GOP representatives in DC, don't expect significant change before the midterms, but begin to apply pressure now, so the wildly self-serving Ron Johnsons of DC understand that they will be voted out of office. The one thing they fear, in addition to Trump, if they don't course correct soon. For those of you new to the world of lobbying elected officials, I refer you to a somewhat dated but very practical guide by Amnesty International entitled How to Lobby Your Elected Representatives. Check it out on YouTube, well worth the 17 minutes and 5 seconds. So if we're going to preserve our democracy, it's at the state and local level. Democracy in DC may be on life support until the midterms, but here in Wisconsin and here in Greene County, we will not let democracy die. Join me. In Greene County, we will not let democracy die. In Greene County, we will not let democracy die. In Greene County, we will not let democracy die. Run for town or village board, or support a great candidate who does. Run for county board, hell, vote me out of my seat, or support a great candidate who does. Support great local organizations working in these spaces, such as Greene County Dems and Greene County Roundtable. And now, word on Susan Crawford and Jenna. Critically and in the immediate term, support our eminently qualified candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, Susan Crawford. There is no more important race in the state of Wisconsin or in the country as a whole. www.crawfordforwi.com. www.crawfordforwi.com. The election's in like a month, as I said. Now, I know Susan personally. Her folks reside in Greene County. She is the real deal. As an attorney, former prosecutor, and now a circuit court judge, Susan Crawford has dedicated her life to upholding the law, protecting our Constitution, and improving public safety. She's running for Wisconsin Supreme Court to safeguard our basic rights and freedoms. Now, Susan's victory will also preserve our majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and thereby, among other critical things, continue to protect us against the gerrymandering which our fine Governor Evers recently vanquished. I hesitate to mention the name, but I have to. Elon Musk. Unelected, Nazi-saluting progeny of apartheid has already poured millions of his dirty money into the race of Susan's opponent. That is, Brad Schimmel. Seriously? Elon Musk thinks that we in Wisconsin can be bought and sold the way Trump and his fan club in DC have been bought and sold? I do not think so. I do not think so. Join me, Elon. Democracy is not for sale in Wisconsin. Elon, democracy is not for sale in Wisconsin. Elon, sweetheart, democracy is not for sale in Wisconsin. Thank you. It will be critically important to remain informed without being unduly distracted. Don't wander aimlessly around the web, buffeted by the crazies. Identify a good composite source of news and follow it daily, but not obsessively. You may find that 10 minutes of news intake per day is sufficient. Get a synopsis of major news and then get back to action. Some folks, for them, that neutral daily news source could be the PBS NewsHour, perhaps accompanied by a cocktail. Don't forget self-care. My neutral source of daily news synopsis is Heather Cox Richardson, an American historian and now a wide-awed blogger. I see some of you have heard of her. I get a 10-minute daily read from Heather before the dog's morning walk. Then I'm primed and ready to kick ass. So be committed to this fight for the long haul. In life, if you hold a sincere, you are probably right rather than wrong, and you will probably stand on the right, motivated by something other than sincere conviction. And they probably suffer from a sacrifice less your foes. Good to go?
Good to go.
Thank you. To the younger folks in the crowd, and I see a bunch of you, we need you. Start your activism now. supporting Susan Crawford, and then canvassing toward the midterms. And vote like your democracy depends on it, as it does. So enough of my pontifications, 8 of them if you counted, and that's what I promised. What did famed anthropologist Margaret Mead say? Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So 2 closing remarks. Again, Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. By being here, you are already doing something. Keep up the good work. Thank you for your time and attention, by which I am deeply honored.
Yep, that's good.
Move this out of the way, maybe. It's going to screech if you go in front of the speakers here.
What can I do to help?
This will
Hold that.
hold that.
Oh, the live stream. So. Yeah, we'll fix it.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, hold on, hang on. Can you just turn that? I got this.
Stick on the table there.
Yeah, we can get a lot of it back. We'll get to that. Don't worry.
Okay, I've been doing kind of a bad job of introducing folks. So yes, Todd Larson, County Board Supervisor, and Jenna Jacobson, Assembly Rep. And next up here, we have probably a familiar face for the majority of you, Rick Waski, former superintendent for Monroe School District.
We'll figure it out.
Try to stay behind the speakers.
I'll
Do okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off by quoting a great. I'm going to start off quoting a great philosopher of my generation, Bill Murray from Caddyshack, and saying I don't think that stuff's coming for a while. So, I guess I want to thank everybody for attending today. It's that we let people know that we are noticing what happened and what's continuing to happen in our country, and we're not okay with it. Now, throughout my 27-year career in public education, where I served as a teacher, principal, and my last 10 years as a superintendent in 2 districts, I can say with complete confidence that I have spent almost my entire life proud of the political system that we have in place in the United States. Think about it. For 250 years, we have had the same general structure to our government in the federal level, and it's worked very, very well. Yeah. It's kept us a constitutional republic. I get reminded that all the time. It's kept us a constitutional republic based on democracy for 250 years, and that's pretty incredible on a world level. But the reason we are a constitutional democracy, a republic with a democracy basing, is 3 things, and I'm afraid we're going to lose all of them. Number 1, we have been successful for 250 years because we have freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and we have rights that all Americans had, and some of them we've had to take over time. I get that, but we have freedom of speech. We have a free press that can cover what's going on in our country, and that has kept our country informed and in check. Secondly, we have the most accurate and the safest elections in the world, without a doubt. It's because of incredible people like County Clerk Voegeli, but for all the hardworking people across our country, we have the safest and most accurate elections anywhere in the world, and that has preserved our government. And the third thing is, we have 3 co-equal branches of government. We have a judicial branch, an executive branch, and a legislative branch, which for 250 years have been co-equal in power and have let our government prevent us from having one person have too much power. Well, you may have noticed all three things I mentioned: our freedom of speech and press, our voting and democracy, and our co-equal branches of government have all been completely destroyed by the evil wills of one person, and it can't even be debated. And even going back to the first term, the reality is this: if we don't fight for those three things, we will lose them forever. And you think it'll be short? It won't take a while. A year from now, we'll be talking about what we used to have for rights in our country. It happens that fast. So what can you do? Well, obviously you can vote. Number two, you can contact all of your elected representatives, regardless of party. Tell them the same thing. Give them the same message, because it's what you want and it's what you deserve. You vote. You contact representatives. You get other people to vote. I get tired of people saying, well, President Trump won the general election. Yes, he did. So did Joe Biden. So did President Trump. Well, not really. But what I'm getting at is tens and tens of millions of eligible voters in our country don't vote. And that is the difference in our elections. I think we all know that it was less than 250,000 votes that made the difference in this election if you go by electoral college in the individual states. And one can argue that the electoral college was very close in 2020, even though the general election wasn't. What I'm saying is we need to get more people voting, and all of us can do that. Okay? And then the last thing that I think is incredibly important: you got to vote. You got to let your representatives know you're dissatisfied. Those are all true things. But first and foremost, you have to demand from your government what you believe is best for yourself and others, and don't compromise. Now, I will have you know, I had the discreet pleasure of being a superintendent of schools during COVID. And I can tell you with great confidence that there were a wide variety of opinions on how things should have been handled. In fact, I can assure you that everyone from one end of the spectrum to the other believed that they had the best idea. It doesn't work that way. But what should happen is all of our elected officials, regardless of party, should listen to their constituents and pay attention to them. Folks, I think there are Republicans at the federal level who want to support getting closer to where we were. They are terrified, not only of being primaried, but of being injured, hurt, or having their families destroyed. That's what we've come to in our country. So I don't want to take up a ton of time. Obviously, the elements aren't with us, but I urge you, vote, contact your representatives, find a good neutral media source, and I say neutral on both ends, and please demand from your representatives what you believe in. Thank you for taking your time on this gorgeous Tuesday, and there are people in Monroe who would be disappointed if I didn't say, go Cheesemakers.
I mean, Rick wasn't joking when he said it's a beautiful day, but democracy doesn't wait for good weather. So, you guys, troopers, for coming out here. Woo! Okay, our next speaker is Ms. Lou Dalton.
Into the circle on the front.
Can you speak into this?
Okay, hi everybody. It's a great day. Like that?
Yeah. If the speakers go into the microphone, the speakers.
Okay. All right. Let us hope and pray that one day school children will learn that, like December 7th, 1941, February 28th, 2025 is a day that will live in infamy. The day when an American president had the audacity to tell the world that we will not support liberty, that we will not honor the brave fight of Ukrainian people against a brazen Russian aggressor, that we don't care about Europe or the rest of the world, that all we care about are transactions, the making of money, the art of the deal. Well, I have news for you, Mr. President, or should I say traitor in chief. Your deal is worth nothing. To borrow from slave times, you have sold us down the river. No longer will we fight for the right for American values. Our Statue of Liberty only welcomes those that can afford a gold card worth $5 million. There is no room in America for the poor, the disabled, the huddled masses yearning to break free. Out of money because you spent your last dime on nursing home care? Well, too bad. There is no Medicaid to help you or the 66% of nursing home residents who depend on Medicaid to stay in a nursing home. Oh, you might be able to pay privately for your nursing home stay at $12,000 a month. That's the cost here in Monroe, but none of us gathered here today can do that forever. Can't work because you are too physically or mentally ill? You're out of luck. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, you are told. Except that you either have no legs, you can't walk, or you don't have any boots. This is a special note for my former and current clients. I hear the anguish that you must be experiencing every morning when you get out of bed, worrying about the program that helps you to both survive and thrive, that this is threatened. I hear you, I love you, and I will fight for you, and so will you. Have learning challenges? Too bad, young student. There is no Department of Education. From a different country where you lived in abject terror for the safety and survival for yourself and for your family? No worries. We have a great place for you at Guantanamo. But let us not forget our commitment to the larger world. Worried about Ebola, malaria, HIV/AIDS, TB, or starving children? Well, you should be worried. We all should. They will just die from either sickness or malnutrition or both. But just think of the money we'll save. Almost 1% of the entire budget. The Chinese will step in to fill our shoes, and I'm sure that's a good thing. And if you are Ukrainian or European, well, everybody knows that Russia did not invade Ukraine. What do we care about liberty? We are throwing away our hard-won liberty as fast as we can, or should I say Donald Trump is. Do you know why we fought the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean and Vietnam conflicts? So that we can be right here where we are today, poised to become a puppet of Russia. Now is the time for us to reclaim America's soul. It is up to us to define what it truly means to be an American. It is up to us to tear up Project 2025 and create Project 2029. Don't be shy. Speak up. Tell your truth. Show your beauty and strength to the world. There's nothing more important. Make no mistake. This time is now. So I ask you, what time is it? What time is it? Is Donald Trump your president?
No!
Is he?
No!
Is Donald Trump a traitor?
Yeah!
What is he?
A traitor!
What is he?
A traitor!
And what are we? We are patriots. We are patriots.
We are patriots! We are patriots!
Thank you.
I'll take that.
All right, our next speaker is Stefani Butts.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Butts, and yes, it is okay to laugh. I am a Browntown citizen. Yes, it is also okay to laugh at that. Give me just one moment here. Browntown's where it's at. All right. I am proud to call Wisconsin my home. I serve as the co-chair of the Democratic and Progressive Party in our county. I serve as secretary for NAMI of Greene County, making sure that our mental health needs are taken care of. And I have spent years advocating for those whose voices are often ignored. I have worked in these circles for over a decade, including as a youth advocate for domestic violence victims at Greenhaven. My work has shown me firsthand the struggles an increasing number of Americans are facing. Families choosing between rent and groceries, the workers exhausted by jobs that don't pay enough to live, and the communities left behind by politicians who promise change but don't deliver. Now, we confront another new threat to what little democracy we have left. Donald Trump, boo. A man who has openly declared himself a king is not just another corrupt politician, he is a fascist. He surrounds himself with yes men like Elon Musk, who have deep pockets and even darker values. His vision for America is not one of freedom or prosperity for the people. It is a vision of unchecked power. It is where he rules above the law and he silences dissent. He crushes workers under the boot of corporate greed. His recent executive orders and promises make it clear. He wants to purge the government of anyone who opposes him, unleash military and police forces on innocent people, and grant more power to the billionaire class at the expense of everyday Americans like you and me. We've seen this before. This isn't the first time we've seen this. Fascism has a pattern, and it is being followed to a T. It doesn't happen overnight. It's little things over time that you don't notice, and then suddenly, how'd we get here? You have to listen to what's going on. You have to pay attention to what people are saying, and you have to pay attention to what they don't want you to hear. Political power follows money and influence, not the will of the people at this moment. A government that prioritizes corporate profits over human needs is no government of the people at all. This is why we see billion-dollar bailouts for banks while millions of Americans are one paycheck away from poverty or losing their house. I'm sorry, I'm just pissed. Private insurance companies raking record profits, deregulating systems in the interest of keeping us sick. It makes them money. It's why our minimum wage has remained the same since 2009. While CEOs make hundreds of times what their employees earn and get exorbitant bonus checks that they do not need or deserve. Change will not come from those who profit from our suffering. No one is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. No king, no billionaire, no politician will ever hand us our freedom. We have to seize it for ourselves. If you've ever thought about what you would do if you were alive during pivotal events like the Holocaust or Jim Crow or during the Civil Rights Movement, gotta ask yourself, are you doing what you thought you would do right now? Because now this is for us.
Gotta have courage.
Exactly. You gotta have courage. And you gotta have mic feedback. The fight ahead demands solidarity. It demands that we reject genocide and remember that never again meant never again for anyone. Only through collective struggle can we break the chains of exploitation and create a society that serves the many, not the few. Wisconsin has always been a place of resilience. Forward. And we have risen to demand a world where democracy is not just a word, but a reality. One where those who produce the wealth control it no longer have power. They're relying on you to be overwhelmed and uninformed, and they think you're stupid. I don't think you're stupid. I think you've been lied to. That's right. And so, with that, I'd like to leave you guys with something I'd like you to repeat after me. It's a quote from one of the most powerful activists that has ever graced this earth, Assata Shakur. And follow after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Maxwell Brooks, where are you? We have 3 quick speakers left. Thank you guys for your patience. You guys are awesome. Maxwell Brooks.
One second. All right, so the greatest tool a dictator has is our silence and our compliance. This turnout today proves that Monroe and Greene County is not asleep. And it proves that Wisconsin is not asleep. And this entire movement proves that this country is not asleep and that we are watching what is happening. And we are not okay with it. We are at a historic crossroads. What happens in the coming months will shape our state and our country for generations. We've seen what happens when extremists get power. Rights are stripped away, books are banned, elections are undermined, and policies that harm working people are shoved down our throats, and we don't want that. But we are not powerless. In fact, we have something stronger than their money and their Fox News headlines and everything that they try to get us to see. We have our voice, and we have a vote. So I want to talk about the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Susan Crawford is the clear choice for fairness, for justice, and for protecting our fundamental rights. The Wisconsin Supreme Court makes decisions that impact our daily lives every single time that they hand down a decision. Whether or not a woman has the right to choose, whether or not we have fair maps, and so much more. The current majority is not just the liberal majority, it's the people's majority, because their choices represent us, not the billionaires that back Brad Schimmel. And there's the DPI race. Public education is under attack. Extremists want to defund our public schools and replace them with private school vouchers, sending our tax money to private schools and defunding our public schools, worsening our education. Jill Underley has been a champion for public schools, for teachers and for students, and if we believe in a future where every child has a shot, no matter how much they make or their family makes, no matter their zip code, we must elect Jill Underley to keep this state for education. And right here in Monroe, we have incredible candidates. Local government is always going to be the government closest to you. It has the greatest impact in our daily lives. And we have two people running for city council, Dylan McGuire, that are going to keep that. We must elect them. We must elect up and down the ballot to make sure that not a single race is taken over by those that seek to destroy us, because Wisconsin is not for sale. We will never be for sale. They will not buy us. They cannot buy us, and they will never buy us. So don't let that happen. Thank you.
I'm not back up here to yap again. Don't get excited. I got nervous and I forgot to mention that the Dems office is right over there. It is open. If you want to come canvass, if you want to come volunteer, if you just want to come talk, we are open and we are here, and we're going to leave it open, I think, until about 6 o'clock tonight. It's right over there. If anybody has any questions, don't be scared to ask them, because questions is how we get smart. And signs. We have Judge Crawford signs. If anybody would like those, we have a few there. Otherwise, we also have a sign-up sheet. We will get those to you. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Joshua Mittness, and he is the guy responsible for the sound tonight. So give him a good round of applause here. Literally amplifying our voices.
You say that, but with all the screeching, they might want to murder me. All right. All right. So here we are again, fighting for democracy, right? I didn't think we'd be here twice. But in times like these, I look to the words of Franklin Delano Roosevelt on this very day, actually, in 1933, when he looked out to the crowd and said, "Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Death threats, fear, and hate are the primary tools that the other side has engaged. When we're fighting fascism and the destruction of our democracy, we should welcome their disdain for us. Truly, they are afraid of our power. Our strength is in our numbers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to divide us. They have once again awoken a sleeping giant in the freedom-loving, democracy-loving people of America. A sleeping giant that through our great history as a nation has only been awakened in the most dire of times, awakened only to come to the defense of our democracy and to defend democracy around the world. A giant that awakens only when greed and lust for power has gone too far. Only when our very way of life, our freedom, and the spirit of democracy itself are threatened. but we have been here before as a nation. We know what must be done. It is now our duty to stand up. It is our duty now to fight back. It is our sole obligation to make sure that our children and our grandchildren will still get to take part in this grand experience of democracy that we so proudly call the United States of America. I'm inspired by the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the art where nobody is above the law. And others, that all men are created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. But I have an unfortunate truth to share with you today. Just posting on social media will not be enough. Just protesting alone will still not be enough. And I've been guilty of these myself. We need to continue to protest, but we also need to run for office. We need to vote. We need to volunteer to help those of us who do run for office. The truth is, the government of this country is not some alien power over us. The leaders are not senators, nor congresspeople, nor even the president. The leaders are the voters. It is us. The hero you're in for is you, and our children are watching. My grandfather, who raised me, told me the day that he first decided to run for office was the day he arrived at school to teach his history class, and he saw he had been assassinated. As a veteran of the Korean War, he realized he had one more chance to give his life for his country, one way or another, to fight for what he believed in, and to protect this country for future generations. Well, in 1964, Lewis T. Mittness Jr. became the first Democrat to win that seat since the days of Abraham Lincoln. He would be proud to see us gathered here today. He would be proud to see me speaking out. Let's come together and save this nation from the same forces that have always threatened our democracy. Eleanor Roosevelt once told us that if silence seems to give approval, then remaining silent is cowardly. For too long, we as the people have been complacent, but we sleep no longer. We are the working class. We know what hard work is. The alarm is ringing, and it's time to get to work. Thank you.
All right, we have arrived at the final speaker of the evening. I want to give a special thanks to Franz as well. He has been instrumental in helping to organize this today. Totally took it and ran with it. Good to do it here.
Hi, everyone. February 3rd, 2025. This way. That works. February 3rd, 2025. I wake up. I ignore my news podcast like I have every day for the last 2 weeks. I log into work and intentionally avoiding talking about the aches that are in my heart. I move through the day dead to the world. I listen to peers and team members talk about crying into their coffee. I stifle a snicker at the utter nonsense that is the Gulf of America. I Venmo a friend. I attend a meeting. I discuss the real possibility the community action initiatives I care about will be deconstructed due to federal funding freezes. I hear my children giggling in the background. Initiatives that are in no way counter to any agendas, but intended to protect at-risk youth and fight substance abuse. I go home. I can't sleep. I make a late night run to pick up $6.99 generic Plan B with a shelf life of 4 years. The cashier asks me to take my glasses off so she can pretend I'm 2 customers and sells me 4 packages instead of the 2 limit. I reach out to my friends in the Queer Joy Book Club of Madison, taking a minute to shelter in the warm, loving embrace of a virtual space that still cares about me before struggling to get to sleep for hours. the depression and anxiety barely at bay, just to do this again tomorrow. I'm Franz Mussared Varga, he, they. I am the president of Greene County Pride. I am a parent to 2 exceptional children. I'm a partner and a lover. I am a Unitarian Universalist who believes in living my values aloud, not alone. I am tired. I am overwhelmed. I'm drowning in a sea of darkness and noise. I'm dodging bullet after bullet from a man and his administration over 800 miles away. I'm scared. But to be brave requires fear. What this 50501 movement is doing here today under Arianna's leadership fills my soul with fire for the first time in months. To see that I'm not a lonely rainbow in a sea of red, but part of a scared, brave band of allies fighting for what we care about. Over the darkness of the last 2 months, I've been escaping into my music. And one song that has spoken to my heart is The Call by Regina Spektor. I recommend listening to it. Quoting Regina, it started out as a feeling, which then grew into a hope, which then turned into a quiet thought, which then turned into a quiet word. And then that word grew louder and louder till it was a battle cry. I'll come back when you call me. No need to say goodbye. A little cold. So I'm going to preface this next story with a trigger warning. What I'm about to share contains homophobic language and hate. If you need to step away or step back or cover your ears, go for it. I'll raise my hands when I'm done. In June, before the election, I wrote a letter in the Broadhead Free Press, my hometown, thanking the community for their support of Pride Month. I received the following anonymous letter in my mailbox. Miss Franz Fagboy Mussared Varga, aka Soy Boy, any man or so-called man using a hyphenated last name as a puss. Nice letter to the other, letter to you with a friendly pushback. Is not indoctrinated flags and slogans. You must understand that these human things you encourage are social misfits. No matter if they transition, come out of the closet, stay silent, etc., they have a severely increased probability of suicide and mental illness. It's undeniable, check the statistics. He, him, her, they, them, and it can all live in peace, but just don't jam the crude lifestyle down the throats of those who oppose it. So why not call a spade and quit pushing your alphabetic LG buttfuck? So do you have a problem with boys and men going into the same bathroom as girls? Write your comments in another letter to the editor, Soy Boy. Sincerely, your friendly neighbor. Addressed IP Daily, so I'm really glad that he has some great urinary health. Thanks. Story's done. As a passing for straight cis man, I often receive comments about how those people are corrupting our children. And when I point out that I'm a proud part of the rainbow, the shock and shame that spreads across the face is incredibly palpable. This hatred has long existed in our community. It's a festering black mold. Only now we've uncovered its source and we can see the spread. And this president is a crazed landlord that is peeling back drywall and spraying the water to encourage the growth. Caring for no one but himself, his investors, and the insurance policy payout they're hoping for in the end. We don't matter to him. I fear for the Black, Indigenous, Hispanic, Asian, and people of color in my community who have shared stories of being approached at local sporting events and being asked if they're legal, who are the dreamers, the bedrock of this country, but are in danger every day of being taken away from their homes, who are judged in their every interaction, who go into a store in Broadhead to make a purchase and are turned away because of the color of their skin, while multiple white neighbors walk in and buy that same product with no hassle. I fear for my child born with a penis who likes to wear dresses and go by Elsa, that this messed up world we live in is going to try to legislate their feelings and who they get to be when they are still figuring it out for themselves. I fear for my gay friends that have been told in Broadhead they can't pick up a partner's prescription at the pharmacy because their relationship isn't seen as valid by my neighbors in the same way as a straight couple. I fear for the women in my community who are being forced to make choices that are going to impact their entire lives because of the danger of losing the option to make those decisions entirely. I fear for my grandmother, for the elderly in the community, the impoverished, and those experiencing homelessness who face a future where they're not able to make ends meet because of foolhardy cuts to social programs that are intended to support us at our weakest and most vulnerable. I fear for the people of Ukraine who are stuck living under our ridiculous, backwards ass politics. I fear for the trans friends who are losing the ability to be themselves, who are seeing their rights stripped away, who are being targeted by legislation that makes it harder for them to find support and vote and change their names and live their authentic lives. I fear. But I'm here to tell you, warriors, that this is not normal. We are collectively being gaslit into thinking that living with a mold is a necessity to life. And it can be so hard. Neighbors living in this apartment building with us, coughing and gagging as they walk to and fro, but refusing to look at the problems. It'll get better. He's only joking. After a few months, this will feel normal. But there's empathy to be had. For not all of us have the energy to fight this. Some of us in this dystopian fascist society are struggling, whether that's coping with the mental health of the dark times we live in, fighting through food insecurities, feeling a loss of connection and fearing for the ability to meet basic human needs. And if some of our peers acknowledge the mold and they breathe it in, they might die. And then there's us. Mr. Rogers once said, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Look around, my friends. I found the helpers. And regardless of this landlord's mad decision making, we are going to work every day to make our home a better place. Whether that's by organizing local events like Queer Prom, Dia de los Muertos celebrations, protests, encouraging our minority and diverse small businesses to thrive despite what feels like overwhelming federal pressure not to. Taking trips with our friends and family to get tubes tied, vasectomies. If you need resources, I have a list of no questions asked decisions if you are in need. Calling our local representatives. Seeing your neighbors coughing from the mold and taking them outside to help them breathe easier for a minute or two. This journey is going to be hard. We are at the outset of 4 years of pain, and we need to practice gentleness and kindness with ourselves and each other. That can come in so many forms, whether that's disconnecting for a few days to feel like we can see the light in the world again, or losing ourselves in escapism. Care for yourselves. Care for each other. We're stronger together than anything this regime can throw at us. From the call, all you can do is try to know who your friends are as you head off to the war. Pick a star on the dark horizon and follow that light. You'll come back when it's over. No need to say goodbye.
Yeah!
Thank you. Would you like to speak? Okay, we've got a speaker request here, so I'm going to let her speak.
I'm so grateful to speak, and I'm not prepared, so this will be amazing. I spoke out at Ron Johnson's protest. Okay, is that better? Okay. Deep breath. I spoke out there, and I have a unique perspective. I was 10 years in manufacturing in corporate America. I worked 10 years in higher education and 10 years in a utility. And I have been 3 years out of the corporate umbrella, right, of a very patriarchal, very hierarchical system based on our colonizer model that we've all been oppressed by, that we maybe don't realize how oppressed we are. Well, in the 3 years I've been off, get this, I've been studying vocal sound healing and embodied dance, some of the practices we as human beings have been doing forever, where we would celebrate together what we hope for rather than fighting over what we believe separately. Let me say that again. What if we all celebrated every week? What if we had a party on the street dancing, celebrating what we hope for together? Because we all have this, think about it, the same human needs that we all have, right? Whether you're Republican, Democrat, you want to feed your family, you love your family, right? You have the same human needs. And if we can just look at, what was the word I said? The same consciousness that created the problems we're in isn't going to save it. And I would love to just, you guys, if anybody's open to a dance, I have like it's called a resist dance. If you're open to learning it, I would love to end with a little music. I don't know if anybody, it's too cold or windy or rainy, but it might liven us up and end on like a high note. Like, you want to dance? Okay. Are you guys okay with me wiring into the speakers? Anybody? Or, oh, is there? I don't. Okay. Well, I'm gonna hold the dance later, you all. Okay. Watch for the resist dance. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so just a quick note, our Latino friends are here and we are ready to support them. So let's join them. After we are done tonight, stick around downtown. Let's show our local businesses some support. Step into the Dems office. Talk with your neighbors. Thank you guys for coming.
I think when you have a turnout that's in the range, you need to do a Donald Trump multiply those numbers by like 100. I really like that mold comparison.